Okay, we are live with the Survivor Washington after show for episode 8. I'm Jaden Osborne, and with me, as always, is resident superfan Heather Cannon, and the sixth person voted out of Survivor Washington Orting is Brett. How are you
Just say I
guys?
was on the show. We don't have to put a number on
Oh, sorry, pre-merge, Brett.
it.
Star of Survivor Washington, placement not relevant.
Okay, we're gonna have Heather open the show from now on. I liked it.
Okay, well that's good because I hate coming up with titles. I've just given up at this point. So Heather, it's on you now.
Oh boy.
We're going to be talking through the episode, so if you have any comments, just make sure leave them in like the chat below. We'll get to them eventually. But for now, we can just get into the show. Because we start off and we've just come back from tribal council where Emma's got the most votes. Kaya wasted her idol, Emma played hers. And then you see Emma, Kaya, and Sarah all talking in a circle. And Emma kind of reveals that it was actually, I know we talked about it last episode, but Setu was the one that completely leaked a plan to Emma and was the reason that all of this went down. And then she finally kind of comes to terms with the fact that Kitty was the one that orchestrated this whole thing, and it got back to her really quickly. What did you guys think about both the Setu thing and Kitty being exposed right off the bat?
Yeah, this is just not a good season for Kitty. It's just been kind of everything going
You
wrong.
paused a bit between not a good season and for
Yeah,
Kitty.
there was a long pause. That was so excruciating.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to keep you
I
on
was
recaps.
so on my food.
Oh my god, no, I've been talking about how great it is every week. No, it's nothing can go right for her, and it just continues. And I mean, Lindsay plays it well, so it's not like it was just purely coincidence. But can we just talk about how rough Hunter was on Lindsay and Kaya in the recap? It's just like they totally blow it, freak out, and needlessly play the idol with 0 votes. It's like, oh my god.
I have to own up to something because I actually wrote that.
That was you?
So that's my fault. I'm sorry.
No, it's funny. I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, his
was a
role
hot
is editing edits the previously on Survivor, whereas they shortened it to the acronym POS, which means something different to me. So Jaden's like, oh yeah, I'll send you the POS in a minute, and I just thought he was being self-deprecating because that means piece of shit for my growing up. That's what you would say to avoid cursing growing up. You just be like, oh, you're such a POS, and so. That's what I was like, oh, that's what.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize I needed to clarify. But yeah, so that's my fault. So I'm sorry if, I don't know.
No, it's not fault. No, it's just
something
I noticed and wanted to touch upon. But yeah, I mean, Lindsay, I don't know. Both Lindsay and Emma in this episode, I don't know how they did it, guys. I feel like they both should have been the most obvious targets. I mean, Lindsay won immunity, but still, the way that they played it when they got back to camp was good on both sides, so props to them.
And I think even if Lindsay didn't win immunity, I don't think her or Emma would have gotten votes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah, well, that's what you kind of saw throughout the episode. This whole episode was really Lindsay's damage control. And she did and I feel like every single scene was her going to somewhere new, explaining herself, throwing Kitty under the bus and all that. And you didn't, I mean, it might just be selective editing and what the cameras picked up, but it didn't seem like Kitty really did that at all. There's one scene where she's talking to Setu and kind of trying to hint at him that Lindsay's trying to get him under her thumb and stuff. But it seemed like for the most part, every time Kitty was on screen, she wasn't trying to make amends, which might have been the difference here.
We had a confessional from her early on when she said that she was thinking things went right for her for once, poor thing. And she said something about how somehow Lindsay got in the blame. So I'm guessing what she was trying to do is just lay low and think, okay, people think this was Lindsay, so I'm just going to kind of stay quiet and hope no one really looks at me or pays attention to me or turns it around on me, which obviously didn't work, but I'm guessing that was probably what she was thinking.
Yeah.
See, the way that I think about it, and of course, it's so easy to Monday morning quarterback, but I like to think of it in terms of driving. They always talk about, oh, I'm going to let so-and-so take the wheel. So-and-so is driving the bus right now. Kitty always said, oh, I'm going to let Lindsay drive the bus for a little bit. So if the blame's getting pushed on Lindsay is but someone someone needs to drive the bus. So Kitty could have like laid low, but who's in charge if Lindsay is the one getting the blame pushed on her? The kingpin. I thought that would have been the opportunity for either Kitty to reassert control or to help someone else position for the merge tribe.
No, that's a good point. I think so too. Well, we jump to the next scene, and it's Erica, Kitty, Lindsay, Connor, and Kai all sitting just like in a circle together. And I think this is one of like Erica's first scenes this episode where she's just like, I feel like she's just like bestowing wisdom on everybody and just like educating them and giving them like encouragement. She says to them, talking about the idol play, that you were nervous, and when you get nervous, you fear the worst of yourself. And it's just all very like inspirational quotes that I feel like should be plastered on with like a sunset background on like my mom's cover photo or something. Like it's all very nice stuff that she's saying. I like really enjoyed Erica this episode.
She was so particularly good at that, like all the time. From my experience with her pre-merge, she had this way, and I really don't like when people are too sunshiny about things and just like speaking cliches and stuff like that. Erica had a way of experience, talking about adversities that she'd overcome, and really kind of honing in on what motivates them and what their outlook on life should be. And she just had such a good, I think like us like weren't working with Erica pre-merge, but no one wanted to get rid of her anyway, just because she was just so she was that ray of sunlight, but it wasn't the brightness wasn't too blaring. Everyone just like loved energy. What do you think, Heather?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that a lot of times when people are like that, it can come off as like forced and stuff, even when it's not. It just comes off that way from just the kind of being overload. But I just don't think that it comes off that way with her. I think she comes off as positive, but not in a fake way, in a very real way. So I think that's part of it too. Like she's just kind of like being her honest self.
And you'll see she gets voted when we do touchy subjects later in the episode. She gets voted like, who would you trust most with your life? And I would agree with that. I want like Erica to be like my life counselor or something. Like I feel like she'd be good at that.
Oh, see, when I think of that question, I always think more of like survival. Like if you were literally like surviving on an island, like who would you want with you? So I was thinking Kitty for that one, actually.
That's interesting.
I don't know if I was interpreting it wrong.
It's actually a good way of thinking about that, Heather, because I've always thought about it the way that Jaden has, where it's like when you think of trust with your life, it's the survivor, fire represents your life kind of situation. It's really gone away from the nature and survival aspect and more close to the interpersonal aspects. And so when I hear that question, I think of person with me in general versus with my ability to survive out here in the rural forests of Washington.
Yeah. Oh well. And we get a Lindsay confessional where she talks about how she can't believe she survived. She's gotten a second chance at this game. And then Erica kind of gets her first confessional of the episode, and she's talking about how it's reevaluation time. They had a plan, they didn't stick to it. But then the most interesting one, I think, is that we get a Connor confessional, because he's been kind of like a little bit under the radar these past few episodes, that he says he hasn't been in the forefront of any strategic discussion since the West Blindside, which after this episode will be 4 tribal councils, because he votes in the minority. Like he votes to save Kitty in this episode. And he's worried that people aren't taking him seriously as a player. Brett and Heather, do you think that this is like a legit concern? Because I think 4 hours up 4 tribal councils in a row is pretty long to. I mean, you don't have to like steer the vote or make a big move or something. But if he's being that passive for that long, do you think it's going to hurt his chances?
I don't think so, because I see him. It's just his reads are so good, and he does have those relationships that I think he has the relationships to make a move down the line, and he has like the awareness in the game and the reads on other people to know who he needs to get and when. So I actually will put him like right up there with Lindsay as my one that I'm keeping an eye on, because I think if there's anyone that's going to like topple Lindsay at this point, I think it's going to be him. And I think obviously everyone knows how like prominent Lindsay has been in the game. So if he takes her out, and even if he was quiet for a lot of the game, then I think that's going to get him a lot of credit.
Well, someone that played with Connor, what do you think, Brett? Like, were people kind of taking Connor seriously?
I think that a lot of people counted Connor out, not in terms of. I think it's funny to consider that the men left are Satu and Connor at this point. They're the only two men. People counted both of them out, but for two different reasons. People counted Satu out at certain points because they felt that he wasn't really playing the game and that he was weaponized for Lindsay's cause or for Emma's cause than he was asserting his own self. With Connor, he had his own individuality in mind, but he, with the exception of Wes, wasn't necessarily able to exercise his own agenda because the numbers were too fierce in his opposition. So Connor has all the tools that he needs to be effective in these kinds of situations. But yeah, at that time, a lot of people were counting him out. He hadn't been that influential since the start of the merge, given that Sean, Stefan, and Kitty are the first three boots. You get a something of a semblance of an idea when they go to Connor. Connor's not a gullible person, but he's voted most gullible. Connor is, I wouldn't say Connor was the least deserving of being there, but that's what he's voted. So I definitely think that he's worthy and that he's not gullible, but I think that the perception of the people out there was that he hadn't had a role in the past 4 votes. So yeah, and I think that it speaks well of his self-awareness, that he understands that that's how people perceive him.
Yeah. No, I agree. We get another confessional with Connor. Basically, it's like dueling Connor and Satu confessionals. Connor kind of rips into Satu, says Satu is impossible to read. He's a corpse. The last person to tap his shoulder at the end of, right before Tribal Council gets his vote, which I thought was really kind of funny to see Connor, I don't know, be like a tiny bit mean.
He felt so bad about that.
Oh, did he?
He felt terrible about that. Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It's super funny, and like Satu is like the last person to get like irritated at that kind of thing. Like Satu has had a small ego that you can kind of like say whatever, and Satu knows his own self-worth, so like you can't. He's unbreakable. Satu, what the hell is his last name? Satu Chains. That's not his last name. That's his Instagram handle. But still, unbreakable Satu Chains. That's just how he is. So even if Connor felt a little bad, no blow.
No, that was funny. I saw people quoting that in the comments. And then Satu says he's a teddy bear that's ready to explode. He's basically in the swing position, which I feel like that's kind of, you want to be the swing vote sometimes in Survivor. Like, that's good, that unless you like Christy Smith it and really fuck it up, like you're not going to go home. But it's not what he wanted it to come to. And then he references his first like confessional, and he says the music has stopped. It's time to face the music. It's very like, because he's a DJ, it's very like Bronte and Big Brother, where all of her confessionals like pertain to math, and she just kind of like shoehorn math in there. He's just kind of like shoehorning DJing in there. But I don't know. I thought it was funny
to hear him in the first episode.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, this was a reference to his first confessional, where he said eventually he'll try to face the music. Now he's gonna face it. That's all I had for the first little scene. And then we cut to Lindsay, Sarah, and Emma. Lindsay claimed she was trying to save Emma, and she was just kind of going along with the majority, which we know really isn't true, because I'm pretty sure Lindsay was actually the one that said to Kitty last episode, like, you know, we could get Emma out now, but she's kind of walked the narrative in a way that completely ignores that and throws Kitty under the bus. Which I thought she did a really good job, because it feels like Emma really bought that.
Well, she showed her idol.
That was really good by Emma.
That was one thing that I was like, I guess if an ally turned on you, you need to find some way to rebuild trust and bring them back in. And I was like, ooh, like Lindsay? I don't know if that was the best idea. I mean Lindsay voted with her, so...
Lindsay wrote her name down, and you are showing your idol to someone who is willing to vote you out, regardless of whether it was her intention or whether she was just going along with it, which who is Emma to be sure. down nonetheless. This is one of the last people that you should be attempting to build trust with an idol show, especially someone who's been so in the last few votes. Lindsay has not been known the entire season for plan. It's very out of character for her to even. I'm surprised that anyone even bought that.
I kind of disagree. I feel like for Emma to say like we're going to be final three, it's going to be us three to the end is kind of naive. But I really like that she showed the idol to Lindsay and Sarah, because you get a confessional from Sarah where she kind of is like, I don't really want to work with Emma, but she has an idol, so that's going to be tricky. I think if she kind
Sarah
of
didn't vote for her.
Yeah, well, I know, but she gave
the
you
problem is
confessionals.
that there's 8 people left, and 4 of the people left voted for Emma, so she needs to do something unless she wants to go in for a tie.
But that's what I kind of like, the move of like weaponizing an idol and kind of, without playing it, getting people to stop voting for you because they're terrified of you maybe playing it. Like, I wonder if she hadn't have done that, maybe they just would have tried to vote her out now. Where
I'm
she can
curious
kind
about
of
that.
say, I don't know if that was her plan, but if she can kind of,
No,
but if
God,
she
sorry.
can,
Finish your sentence.
I don't know if that was her plan, but if she can kind of psych people out to thinking that, okay, I'm going to play at this tribal council, but not actually play it and have them kind of shift her plans around, I think that's really good. And that's, intentionally or not, that's kind of what she did this episode.
I agree with that if that's the case, because I think that would be kind of amazing. Be like, you saw what happened last time, all you bitches tried to come for me. Just letting you know I can do it again. I would find that so badass if that's the truth. I'm not certain if it is, but all the power to her if that was her idea, was to building trust, but as a way of I shot the warning flare. The next one's going in your head, lady.
Yeah, instilling fear, basically. Because it's not just that she, like, has an idol, it's the fact that she's shown that she can read the room and know when to play it. I mean, technically, Situ told her, but
yeah,
ability to play idols correctly, and that's, you know, I mean, there's only, we're down to 7 now, so there's 3 more tribals she can play it at.
Yeah, final 5's the last time.
So it's not that much longer, but we're also end game.
You don't want to be James Clement.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, you don't.
Well, okay, hang on. I don't know. I don't know if it's my favorite or least favorite, but Emma gives a series of confessionals where she says, Lindsay tried to stop them from voting me out and instead vote Stephen. And she says Stephen 3 times in this confessional.
Oh my God.
Despite saying Stefan, like, throughout. Like, she's known Stefan for 2 days. She's called him Stefan all that time. I don't know why she just, like, suddenly decided to call him Stephen. But I was like, who's Stephen?
Yeah, you can't even get mad at it at this point. Half of this cast still at touchy subjects doesn't know Satu's name. Half of the cast is still saying "say to," and it got to the point where I had to private message him and I go, "I need you to spell something for you because I've been calling you Satu this whole time, but I hear everyone else say to, like SAY.
Yeah,
that's like I'm setting something on the table." And I'm sorry that I came to this, but I need to ask you, like, which one is right. He's like, no, it's set to, like, set something down. And I'm like, okay, good, because I feel like 3 people out of the 16 here know that.
Yeah, well, that's what.
So bad.
With touchy subjects, because they all wrote each other's name down, so I got to see kind of how people are pronouncing it. Lindsay has added in an extra T. She's calling him Stay Tuned,
so
like
bad.
STETU.
Like, stay tuned to the next interview with the person voted out.
And I didn't even realize until I saw it spelled that. Yeah, every time she says Setu, it's stay to. And I was like, I don't know why Setu isn't like calling people out on this, because that would drive me nuts. But I don't know.
How did Lindsay spell Nico's name again?
Noki. Which is,
I wrote on when I voted for Setu, I wrote hey, I wanted to write DJ set 2, but I put like DJ set, like spitting a DJ set number 2, because I generally didn't know how to spell it. It's really awkward. I really liked when Sean was like, my name is spelled SHAWN for when you find it necessary or whatever, because I'd be pissed if everyone was spelling my name wrong, especially for a name as uncommon as Satu, for however short it is. But so many people spelled it wrong on the parchment. I didn't know any better, so I just like as I possibly could. Brett is a common name, but you either have one or two T's, and most people got it right. Satu wasn't certain, and he put the second T in parentheses just in case he was wrong, which I found very polite.
Yeah, that was good. Also, when Emma's like about to reveal her idol, she said to them like, it's very like Liam Neeson in Taken. Like, I will hunt you down and kill you. Like, I will literally find you guys and take you out. If we have a physical challenge, I'll like kick your ass. It was very, I don't know. I just got like the like mental image of her on the phone.
Well, I got the Shane Powers from it. I'll find you and I'll kill you in your shitty apartment. That's what I was thinking of.
I want Emma's thinking chair. Yeah, Sarah and Lindsay. Sarah is paranoid that Emma's going to eventually come after her, which I think is a bad read. Like, I feel like Emma's the only one out of this threesome that's like lock solid in it. I feel like if Emma gives you her word, she's gonna stick with it. And I think
that was bizarre because
I don't think Emma would come for Sarah.
No, I don't think so either.
Sarah's been with her since day one. She did not vote for her in the last tribal council. There's just been nothing really particularly indicative, and I'll be curious. I should probably ask Sarah about this in our cast chat. What signs that she saw that made her think that Emma would possibly determine her a target? Because on paper it doesn't make sense, but you know, when you're reading social cues in person, it can be a completely different thing.
Yeah. Well, Sarah and Connor are the only two people left that haven't gotten votes. So I think they're probably perceived as the least threatening. But I think this might point to like one of like maybe Sarah's doesn't really have her finger on the pulse exactly, because when we get to touchy subjects, like she gets nothing right, like at all, which is kind of
yeah, that was rough.
We the benefit of that, we're like, you're throwing it right though, like. It's, you don't want people to know what you think. Like, it's not uncommon to throw touchy subjects because you don't want to hurt other people's feelings or stir up any resentment. And so, but Sarah maintains to this day, I genuinely thought that Connor was running the game and stuff like that. I was like, what?
Really?
But genuinely, she didn't throw it. That's what she says, and I will keep her to her word.
Well, this was exciting because I got to write the questions pre-season, so I was really like looking forward to this episode to see how it played out. I've got like a list of all the questions and answers. I feel like almost all of them, like the answers that were given were the answers that I would have given, except maybe I don't think Connor's gullible, and like the who is most likely to be voted out, I obviously wouldn't have. I would have answered Kitty. But yeah, some of the questions here we've got: who doesn't deserve to be here? Connor. Lindsay's most annoying. Emma has the best chance of winning.
She voted for herself, which is funny.
Yeah. Do you guys agree with? Well, Heather, do you agree with Emma has the best chance of winning?
No.
No. They got it wrong. Why is that? Too many people.
I just still feel like she has a blind side coming. I just feel like she's so confident in herself that she can kind of pull together groups at times, but I think that more and more people are onto her, like pretty much everyone. Like, I mean, I don't think Erica is targeting her, at least not yet, but Erica's shown she can be a little ruthless with all of the like hugging, reassuring with Kitty, but Sarah's onto her, Lindsay's onto her, Connor's onto her. I'm guessing Kaya's. I think Kaya's onto everyone. So I don't really see what her path is to the end unless she wins out, and she hasn't won an individual challenge so far.
Yeah, I said it. I think I said it during my exit interview, that or maybe our last recap. That I felt like, no one's drawing dead except for Emma. Emma is a looking individual. She is very athletically strong. She has she has mental intelligence to a certain degree. She has already had a successful idol play, let alone if she has a second one. There is no way that people are going to let her anywhere near a jury. She's building up such credibility, which is to her credit, but also kind of to anywhere between 4th and 7th place, depending on what the shakeup is.
No, I agree. Yeah, she gets voted as well for running the game. I disagreed with that. I was impressed that,
No.
I mean, Lindsay got voted most annoying, which isn't the best. But in terms of, I still feel like Lindsay's probably got the most control here, and she copped none of that heat. So that's like a lot of props to her.
If you're running the game, you don't need to play an idol on yourself an hour and a half before that challenge. So that really
what doesn't make
struck me
any
as odd.
sense.
The game.
Yeah.
Like, she literally
The majority
saved
of us
herself
voted her
the
out
majority
last
vote
time.
by an idol. How are you in control if the majority voted you out? Like, that just didn't make any sense.
If you're really controlling
at all.
it, you evade having to play your idol at all. But that seemed very interesting. But granted, people are voting honestly, I'm assuming, in that short range of time between Emma playing her idol and arriving at that immunity challenge to compete, that people that she had somehow and all of a sudden was once again in a dominant position, which if they genuinely felt that way, that is very awesome for Emma to have accomplished in that short of a time span.
Yeah.
I think if she was running it but people hadn't realized it, then I'd agree, but I think that's these people are not dumb. The fact that she went from having the majority of the votes to supposedly running things, like, that just has to be a red flag for, like, everyone there, which for the most part we've seen voiced by the majority of the people there, I feel like. So I do think she handled things well in terms of getting herself into a good spot, at least like short term, but I don't think it's good for her at all long term.
Yeah. Connor gets voted like least deserving to be here. I don't think that's true, because the only thing that would make me say that is because he was in such strife pre-merge and kind of got fluked with the pre-merge wins. I think the rest are all pretty accurate. Viewers' favorite, Emma. I don't know. I think Lindsay.
I thought it was Erica.
No, Emma got viewers' favorite.
Oh.
Erica got who would you trust most with your life?
I thought she got both of those. I'm pretty sure.
I might rewatch, but yeah, I feel like Lindsay's solidly the viewer's favorite.
Wait, which category?
Anyway, yeah. Did you guys have anything else to add for touchy subjects?
Yeah, not really. It was hard to keep track because it was in the dark, so it's hard to keep track of who was voting which way. But
that'll be Oh, hang on, you cut out. What was that? Hello?
Still frozen.
Brett, if you can hear us, maybe just exit and come back in. Yeah, because you're just locked in the one spot. Yeah, this is going to be...
Am I here now?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
God damn it. Okay.
Yeah, what were you saying before? Okay, never mind. No, this is going to be the last. I know we had kind of like a semi-nighttime episode with the Corey boot. Now we had one here. This is going to be the last nighttime episode because I don't think it gets dark. This is day 2 of 3. I don't think it gets dark until like the very end of Final Tribal Council in day 3. So we won't have to worry about challenges not being exactly visible or anything. We come back and Kitty's really upset with the challenge because she's taken the whole mistakenly running the game thing pretty personally, which I don't know. I don't know if you can put too much stock in the touchy subjects answers because they seemed all pretty scattered. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kitty only really got like 3 votes and everyone else got 2. Like, I don't think it's a very solid thing to be super upset about. But then Erica gives her like this was my favorite one of her Erica-isms, where she says, it's just perceptions from how the answers are going. We don't know what others are thinking. We only think we know what others are thinking. But still, Kitty nonetheless says, my heart got ripped out and stomped on, which is a bit sad. Are you there, Brett?
Yeah.
No? Uh-oh. Maybe just leave and come back. I feel like that should work. Anyway, Erica goes on, I don't have the same trust. And it's every man for himself at this point. And then Lindsay gives a confessional where basically, this is my last thing I have before tribal council. She talks about just Setu and his involvement. And Lindsay, somehow Setu has convinced Lindsay that he didn't really mean to tip Emma off. And I don't know how much of this is the truth. Whether Setu maybe just accidentally said something he did, or like it was a calculated move. So I don't know. I wish we had that scene, because it's hard to know whether Setu is doing all these things on purpose or if it's just a coincidence. Hey, Brett?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. I just was like, okay, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then great.
Welcome back.
What I missed?
We were just talking about Setu, and because Lindsay claimed that Setu told her that it was an accident that he tipped off Emma for tribal council. And I don't know if this is just something that Setu's saying to Lindsay to save face, or whether it's actually true, and this wasn't like a calculated thing to save Emma. Do you have any insights?
I feel like, you know, when a child like pushes down another child, and then like the parents are getting mad, like it was an accident, but you definitely like you push them. I feel like that's where Setu's mindset is where he genuinely feels like I wasn't trying to do something wrong, but I definitely did, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he didn't want Emma to go home, so I think it's safe to say that his strategy behind telling her was like, hey, if you can do anything to change this, do it. So I think it's pretty much that, where it's just he's not like willing to own up to the move that he made. So he's just kind of like playing dumb about it. Yes, I am glad that Lindsay at least like is aware of the fact that she was feeling too safe and like she didn't really have to keep putting in the work with Setu, but I still just feel like he's gonna kind of like screw her, because I still feel like she's not like taking him seriously enough.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, we get to tribal council. I don't have any real notes on tribal council, but Kitty goes in a 6-2 vote. Connor's the only one that votes with her. Brett, do you have any insight to whether or not that Connor just kind of threw a vote Kitty's way for sympathy, and this was basically unanimous?
He answered that in the exit interview.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
It's times.
Oh, what was that? She answers that?
Yeah, she said that he came up to her and he said that everyone else told him to vote for her, but he didn't like just being like bossed around and told what to do, so he wasn't going to do it, basically. That's what he told her.
That's so right. He did use the phrase boss around.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I haven't gotten time to watch the exit interview. So Kitty wasn't blindsided? Like she knew it was coming?
I think, she said she was.
She was, because she thought she had a majority that included, I think, Sarah, Connor. I think she thought she had Emma, and I think she thought
Lindsay.
Maybe I could be getting that wrong. Yeah, I think I do. I do think that she thought that Lindsay hadn't turned on her. So I'm trying to think of who would have been the minority.
She does listen in the episode, so we can find it.
Yeah, it's there. She says, "I think I have 5, and Connor for a fact." So, it was a blindside insofar as you went to tribal thinking that you had the numbers, and I think you still feel uneasy, but like she didn't get blindsided like I got blindsided. She was like, you know what? I'm pretty certain that I pulled this off. If I didn't, then I didn't, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I was going to say, when the third Kitty vote comes, you can see her face just kind of goes, like...
Yeah.
She looks shocked. So that's why I was surprised. Yeah, okay. So Connor knew what was up. Connor wasn't left out of this plan. He was just throwing Kitty a bone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which Connor.
Oh. Connor's
Gotta
we'll just
love
make
him.
that confessional. He's nice again. What did you guys generally think of? Because if we look at the tribal council coming back from last tribal council with Stefan out of the picture, and just assuming that Emma didn't throw a stray vote, it would have been a 4-4 split, and you would have had Kaya, Connor, Lindsay, and who was the other person? Kitty on one side, and then everyone else on the other side. So I assume we were probably going to be
Stefan was the other person.
Yeah, no, Kitty was the other person. Stefan's gone. So it was coming into this episode, it was 4-4, and basically we see Lindsay and Kaya cut one of their numbers in hopes that the 4 will break away. Do you think
Sorry,
this
my
was...
audio's like messed up right now.
Oh, sorry, did you hear what I was
So-
saying?
Oh, sorry, Heather.
It's like you guys sound like very high pitched. It's like staticky. I'm just gonna try leaving and coming back, but
Okay.
I don't want you to go through all this. And I
In
don't
my
know
defense, my
anything.
voice is rather high pitched.
It's really weird. Okay, let me try coming.
I've been watching too much Karen from Will and Grace. Well, anyway, I can ask you. Because it was League 4-4. Do you think that they made a mistake cutting Kitty and just hoping that the other 4 break away? I know it's not that solid, but really they did have 4 people voting together that they could have. I don't know. I'm sure they could have forced some tie or got them to split their votes. What did you guys think?
Well, I think the thing is that where was Kitty going? What did Kitty show any signs of disloyalty to Lindsay? I felt that if it's Kaya, Kitty is the more appealing person to take out there because Kitty previously took a shot at Kaya when it came to the charade thing. Kaya's interested in keeping Connor as a side number just in case things with Lindsay go awry. And so I understand that. For Lindsay, I was shocked that she was willing to get rid of Kitty at that point because Connor's not a person working anywhere remotely near in her favor. And granted, like he's not the most threatening individual, but he's still someone that, you know, as numbers dwindle, the percentage one player is in the game grows. So like when you start the game, you're 1/16th, but at this stage, you're 1/7. That fraction equates to a much higher percentage than what you do starting the game. So I feel like if I were in Lindsay's shoes, you eliminate anything that could possibly become an opposition to you, and I just don't feel that Kitty had fully developed into an opposition for Lindsay. Who else is in that scenario?
Well, I don't know. Well, just with that, I don't know because you saw there's a scene in this episode where Kitty says to Setu like, "This was Lindsay. Like Lindsay just thinks that she can have you wrapped around her finger." So I don't know if maybe
Lindsay
that
wise to that.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe Setu leaked that back to Lindsay, and that might have been nail in her coffin. But Kitty was definitely. She's been talking about all season that she needs to get rid of Lindsay. She needs to get rid of Lindsay. I think she was starting to plant the seeds now.
It's definitely curious because Kitty was someone that it seemed at least rather innocuous to the games of and Sarah, and I'm trying to think of who else was in that 6 that everyone but Connor.
Erica.
Emma. I think it made sense for Emma. Erica, let's see. Yeah, it made sense for Erica. Erica has no history with her. She has no real ties to her other than, you know, the possession of ovaries. Let's see. Yeah, so it made sense for Erica. It made sense for Emma. It made sense for Setu, certainly.
Sarah?
For the rest of them, I'm not so certain.
Why not Sarah? Because Sarah doesn't have that much of a history with Kitty, and I feel like getting rid of Kitty.
Yes, she does. They sew together and they quilt and they form this all-female alliance. And I thought that they had. I mean, compared to Setu, who is not a member of an all-female contingent, he was. You know, he voted me out and was like there was solidarity there. But to her knowledge, that wasn't a New Wilkeson alliance. That was a women's alliance, and Setu also joined the brigade. So as
Well,
far as like loyalties go, I don't see any loyalty that Satu would have to Sarah.
Yeah, but with that being said, I think if Sarah gets rid of Kitty like she does here, that kind of solidifies Emma's trust, and she can kind of milk that three-person alliance that her, Lindsay, and Emma formed for all it's worth.
That's true.
Whereas
That's true.
if you like go against her already, you're just pissing off someone with an idol that previously had your back.
Yeah. I feel like
was-
they should have just voted out Emma there. They should have made her feel secure with this new alliance, and then just been like, and she's secure this time. She won't play it. Peace.
Setu would have tipped her off again.
That's a tricky tightrope.
Like something would have happened.
No, but they wouldn't have told Setu this time because now they know what the kryptonite is.
Okay, that's a good plan. My thing with Kitty's game is early on in the season she gave up Sheree and Corey in exchange for keeping Kaya and Setu in the game, both of which voted her out. Didn't have her back. Do you think if you just say it's the exact same things have happened, but you swap out Kaya and Setu for Corey and Sheree, I don't think she goes here. I think it was maybe a mistake.
True.
Yeah. Obviously, if she fights to keep them, the further elements of the game change. Maybe she gets targeted earlier, but I think it was a big mistake for her to get rid of those two people because it got to a point where all of her allies got taken out and she had no people to say, no, I won't get rid of Kitty.
Heather, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the problem is that she tried and she...
Ooh, your microphone's really soft.
Yeah.
Hang on, I might be able to boost you up.
Jane has power.
Is it better now?
No. Try again.
A little bit. I can.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's. I mean, she was trying. Like, it's not like she just automatically gave up, but she just didn't have the influence to keep them around.
Well, you got confessionals from Lindsay those like episodes 3 and 4 saying she's not going to put up a huge fight to keep them. I feel like if she was just a bit more, I wasn't there, and this is all speaking with hindsight. I think it would have been possible. Like, it's just a matter of whether her putting up a fight to keep Sheree and Corey would have put in like a big target on her back, and she might have gone even earlier.
The thing is, oh, I'm sorry, Jane. I didn't realize you were finishing.
I was just gonna say it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is that it's such a tricky tightrope to walk with anything. Tribal council, or when you're going to council that evening, you have to determine how much social capital you're willing to exert in order to push the outcome that you want to happen. And so sometimes it becomes like a silent bidding war of sorts where, yeah, Lindsay wasn't going to really like throw herself into the fire to keep Satu and to keep Kaya, but she put enough of herself out there. So instead of sticking her neck on the line, maybe she put her pinky out there to save her allies. And meanwhile, Kitty, she didn't put any of it out there. She was just like, I'm not going to expend any social capital. Lindsay goes, I'll expend a little. And if a little works, then a little works. If a little doesn't work, then I wasn't going to give myself wholeheartedly to this cause. In the end, Lindsay won out in that. But the tightrope to walk is that every time Lindsay gets her way, everyone knows, okay, Lindsay was the key factor behind this vote. Lindsay was the key factor behind this vote. And then is that going to become a point of contention later to be like, okay, well, you've gotten your way every time up until now. Like, why are we all just here for the Lindsay show? And I think Kitty was counting on more people being woke to that and being cognizant of that. But it was not too little too late for Kitty, but rather people becoming wise to Lindsay didn't happen as soon as Final 8, and therefore...
Yeah, and I mean, to a certain extent, she just kind of got unlucky by the idol. If Stefan was here, I think Stefan's someone that's going to say, no,
it's another number.
Never voting out Kitty. And with Stefan gone, she lost all the people that were going to say that we're probably going to fight for her. That's what she lost. Yeah.
She might have had, through Stefan, might have had a conduit to Connor and Kaya. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I think she needed to.
I think it's very.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think she needed to be more people's number one or like number two ally. I think she was allied with people, but just she was more down the list, and it's tough in that position.
Yeah, and it's like and of course we know that she would have done better with more so Corey than Sheree, given Sheree's lack of like strategic know-how and survivor knowledge. That that was going to be a learning curve for her either way. But not having Corey was probably pretty damaging for her to give up 2 allies as opposed to be a quid per quo was very was damaging to Kitty's game, because like granted in the pre-merge I wasn't going to put a lot of social capital out to get Sarah out the first tribal council when Molly and Erica were coming to a head, or rather if we were to lose the second, third, or fourth, really wanted Connor to stay, but I knew it wouldn't have made sense for me to have thrown myself on the railroad tracks demanding that Connor still be around. It was going to be very difficult for Sean and myself to keep him alive in that circumstance. And so I think that giving up both of those 2 people was just so damaging to her. I feel like she only should have given up 1. Giving up 1 is a gesture of good faith. Giving up 2 numbers, she's giving the other people in your alliance are giving up none of their side pieces in return, and it's obvious that you're playing from the bottom more or less. Granted, she still had Stefan at that time, so I guess she was less concerned on that end.
I feel like the Sheree boot, because it's a final 7. She had Sheree, she had Corey, she had Stefan. I suppose you want to keep the votes unanimous and stuff, but I think she could have pulled up a 4-3 pretty easily.
If Stefan was still there.
At the at like pre-merge when Sheree went home. So yeah. But
again, you don't want to. If Kitty makes herself too formidable in the pre-merge, especially someone who's being seen as a leader from the get-go for teaching people how to pee in the woods, she was really damned if she did and damned if she didn't. But we're not condemning Kitty's game so much as
I think Kitty was great.
It's a choose your own adventure, but we're exploring every possible avenue she could have gone down. I think in certain situations, I think Kitty's best case scenario was getting 4th, because she's just that fantastic. Like she would have had to, she would have gotten to like 5 and then had been required to win out, because she radiates, like her presence is well known. I think people had a lot of respect for her game. I think people appreciated how intelligent she was. She was no slouch in challenges. She had so much going for her. And at a certain point, you have to think, is the last fucking person I'd want to sit next to at the end.
Yeah,
Perfect. I wouldn't want to sit next to her.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, just adding on to that, she's such a well-rounded person. I would think almost out of anyone left that I can't see a scenario where she sits at the end and doesn't at least get like a lot of votes. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think she was a threat to win. People knew that, and she was a really good player.
Yeah, that said, though, I don't. Now that I think of it, I don't know if I think it was that great of a move to get rid of her at this point, because she was like completely alone, pretty much. Like it's like her last ally had been cut out of the game, and she just showed consistently. I mean, I guess other than this 1 week before the idol was played, but even then, that was partly because of her ally that it got played to begin with. But every time one of her allies was up to go home, she couldn't get the votes. It's sometimes she was giving it up, but sometimes it was more just that someone else overpowered her, like with the Sheree vote. Like she was like, all right, like let's do this. And Lindsay's like, no. And then Lindsay gets her way. So I feel like they maybe could have gotten out someone who was more dangerous to their game. I don't know. I think they should have taken out Kaya, to be honest. I think she's more dangerous.
I think yeah.
Sorry,
No, you can
go
go
ahead, Jaden.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think with this.
Gonna say, but the only
shit. Okay, you go first.
Okay, fine. The only other factor to that is that after touchy subjects, Kitty's confidence was clearly shaken, and that when that kind of game can have an effect on your psyche to be like, oh, people perceive me in this certain way, and I think that with her confidence shaken, that might not have been the best time. You want to take people out when they feel like they're at their prime. When someone's confidence is shaken, that's someone that you can keep around a little longer because they're more malleable to form to your agenda.
I just feel like at that point she was a number that could have easily been picked up, whereas I think Lindsay may play up being a number, but I don't really think that she is. Lindsay's gonna do what she wants and she's gonna steer things how she wants to steer it. Whereas I think Kitty at that point was just so alone and so desperate for something that if someone was like, hey, I want to go to the ends with you, like put things aside. Right. If it was someone who was on the side, like, I want to go to the ends with you, final two, let's do it. I feel like she would just latch on to that because she was so desperate. Whereas I think someone like, I mean, it's Kaya, Connor, and Lindsay that were the other ones that voted for Emma. I feel like those ones more felt like they had other people and had more confidence in the game and weren't like just looking for someone to be loyal to because they kind of already had their own plans. So I don't think that she was the right target.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jaden?
I was going to say, I think this season people are playing it differently towards like how I think I would play it because everyone's seems too paranoid to leave too many people in the minority. Like we're getting so many big unanimous votes and just kind of everyone's trying to be really malleable instead of just drawing a line in the sand. Like I feel like it's a final 7 coming up. My strategy would just be like, let's find 4 people. Let's get 3 people in the minority. That way, when we come back, there's a pecking order. Like us 4 will be the final 4. Whereas people are more just trying to keep their options open, not draw attention to themselves. That's what I think. There's been a number of scenarios this season where people could have done that and could have just said, okay, it's final 10, we've merged, let's get an alliance of 6, screw breeding out Sean unanimously, we'll get 6 people, we'll pagong the rest. I don't know, people are just playing it differently as towards how I would play it, which I think is a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But I would probably be voted out, like, already. So, like, don't listen to me, but it's just something I noticed.
I want both of you to play so bad.
I want to play as well, but I don't think Hunter wouldn't let me. I could be on crew.
So? I was supposed to be on crew. Crew plays sometimes, Jaden.
Okay. Next season, watch out. Well, just giving away my plan. People will be like, Jaden's up to his tricks.
Do you guys have any like notes about like the aftermath of? I mean, well, so Kitty has final words, and her final words were kind of to say because she was still like processing at the time.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any?
She just looked sad, and I felt bad because Kitty is, I think, such a like positive person. I think someone commented that on YouTube just to see like Kitty's confidence and like optimism dwindle just throughout the season, and especially this episode. Like she had like a rough,
it's heartbreaking
episode with touchy subject. She was going down, and right when she's at her lowest, they like kick her while she's down and vote her out. It was brutal to see. But I don't know.
Heather, what do you think?
I pretty much think the same. I don't think it was the best move, and I think it was difficult to watch. So I wasn't a fan of it personally.
We'll wrap up in a moment. I just want to say that. So after that, we all go to sleep, and then day 3 begins. But following Kitty's elimination, Sean, Stefan, Kitty, and myself, we stay at the old Carbonado camp in a tent, and the 4 of us are just talking. Sean and Stefan are kind of like settling like certain aspects of the game went. Kitty's kind of coming full circle and really processing. You always think of like, okay, what led me to this point? How did I get here? What mistakes did I make? What perceptions did people have, etc. And so I'm spending most of my time talking to Kitty. Stefan and Sean are like on their own. But following that evening, everyone's in pretty good spirits for the most part because Sean and I are helping set things up, and we're really, working at it. We're shooting Ponderosa videos that unfortunately will never see the light of day because my old phone shit the bed. But we shot like an empty crib style Ponderosa for both Stefan and Kitty, and unfortunately they just my phone just pooped out and it wouldn't handle it. But we had such a fun time at Ponderosa.
Yeah. Just reading the chat just quickly before we get into predictions and then wrap it up. Scout wants to be mentioned, so hi Scout. You got attention.
Hi Scout, I miss you so much.
Lindsay said, I was not the one with the idea to get Emma out. I think that's in reference to me. I was just pointing, it was Kitty's idea to get Emma out, but Lindsay said something in the last episode where Kitty's coming to her with a plan and Lindsay says, we could do it now. That's all I was referring to. I still think it was Kitty's plan.
It seemed that credit was shared. Yeah, it was originated by Kitty, but Lindsay was super down because that. Can you imagine? That would have been such a great heist to pull. So
yeah,
go along with it. She was game from, she required no convincing.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to point out. Yeah, it wasn't Lindsay's idea though per se. Do you want to get into predictions then? Heather, what do you think will happen next episode? Day 3.
I feel like it's gonna be Lindsay or Emma that they go for. It's so hard to say with this group. There's no predicting anything. But I mean, at least historically, 7 is normally a time when the big moves happen. Of course, the merge normally is too. And that is not what we saw. But, I mean, I don't think we haven't really seen anyone targeting anyone else. So that would be, my guess would be one of those two. I would say Emma, just because we've seen more people targeting her, in this episode.
It's hard to make predictions when no one's drawing such a solid line in the sand. No one's in the minority at the moment. Yeah, it makes it tricky, but I don't know, it makes it exciting. Anything else you guys want to add? Yep.
Yeah, something you have to look forward to is that next Tribal, the jury will be wearing different clothes than what they had played the game in because we all got to shower, thankfully. So look forward to Stefan and Kitty in new clothes.
I noticed Stefan was in his old clothes, and I was like, Stefan, what are you doing? Change.
Yeah. And let's see, what else? I'm looking forward to more. I want to see more, for the sake of balance of who we've seen, who we haven't seen. I want more Erica, Connor, Kaya, and Sarah in the next episode. That's my hope. Predictions, because I know too much shit, but I get to make not demands, but I get to make requests, wishful thinking, if you will.
Well, Kitty was a very big character, so we have a lot of time to fill now.
Yeah, Kitty was one of my favorite. Just in terms of characters, I think Kitty was probably one of my favorite. I think she had a nice little arc, and she was always good at confessionals, and always at the merge episode, she delivered a confessional where she was upset and she was conflicted. I think she was one of my favorite people in this season.
Yeah, definitely Kitty for All Stars or fans versus favorites when Hunter is still doing this in his late 30s.
I know. Hunter told me he wants to get to All Stars, and I was.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm bored.
Age and finish your education. You'll get there.
Yeah, I think that's it then. Thank you guys for recapping with me. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you, Jaden.
I was just looking at the chat. I don't think there's any more questions. Yeah.
Does Joey still love Lindsay? Because I'm on the edge of my seat about that. Is Joey still all about Lindsay?
Okay, answer that in the comments. Okay, Joey.
I'm assuming yes. It's obviously yes. He's the best.
I feel like I saw him saying that.
Everybody loves Lindsay.
So too is saying Emma didn't include Erica in her final free plan.
Lindsay is wonderful.
Oh yeah, that can be the last thing. I was surprised that Emma made a final 3 claim without Erica. She just kind of dropped Erica.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if she sticks to it, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you back next week. I'm not sure what day. Probably back into the usual day, but we'll decide that when we get there. Alrighty.
We'll
bye,
do it on
guys.
Halloween in costume.
Oh no.
Oh, God.
Pull out my Survivor buff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got
special
one.
Halloween show.
Okay, stay tuned for the Halloween episode next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.